to your card. Next time you're shopping, grab your KCB Visa card and tap to pay and be rewarded. Use your KCB Visa card and just tap, 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 tap. It is safe, it is free, it is fast and secure way to pay. So, tap, 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 tap. Hapo sawa. KCB Bank. Go ahead. All right. Nakuru Senator Susan Kihika and Wajir Woman Rep Fatuma Gedi are in the house talking about all kinds of things here, folks. Kilaweke, Tanga, all that good stuff. By the way, Senator Kihika, Deputy President William Ruto did not show up at the big meet yesterday and was criticized for it. It's like he was lengaing it. Your thoughts?
Well, I saw it just like everybody else saw it, but I saw those criticizing and I wondered, I have not heard His Excellency the President complain about his deputy's absence, so perhaps he was aware that the deputy was not coming, and so the deputy, that is why he did not show up, or whatever the reasons may have been.
Wait a minute, Senator, he had a place, he was a spot reserved for him to speak. I don't know if you know, but there was a spot for him to speak.
I mean, that doesn't mean anything, Jeff. I mean, when most of these, what are they called? These programs are generated based on protocol. They put the people that they put coming after each other or whatever. However, I cannot speak to his absence unless he tells us or unless the president says that he wasn't there and he was supposed to be there. So for now, I think it's everybody guessing, everybody imagining, but I have not heard the president complain.
Okay. Women Rep, Fatuma Gedi. You have a little sound problem, or can you hear me, Mheshimiwa?
Yep, yeah.
You good?
Yeah, Jeff, I think I can't, there's a problem with the sound.
Okay.
So, Jeff, you can hear me?
Paula, work on it, don't worry, we're here, we're not going anywhere. Iko sawa sasa?
It's okay, I can. Yeah, iko sawa.
All right, DP didn't show up yesterday at KICC, so your thoughts?
It's a gross insubordination. It's a gross, in my view, it's a gross insubordination for the DP to skip such an event, which was very important for the country.
Why is there a gross insubordination?
And at a time, and it was really embarrassing, really, for his chair to be taken away, and when he could not, when he didn't attend. Really, it was really embarrassing. You see, Jeff, yesterday. Everybody was there, regardless of the political differences. Kalonani and Raila Odinga was there, Mudavadi was there. It's not about how somebody feels. It's not about succession politics. But, as the role he has as the deputy president, the principal assistant to the president, it was really embarrassing, you see. And this is the time he could have come and raise the issues. If he was not happy with anything, he could have said. But it was really sad. It's not about the president complained. We don't need the president to complain. The Kenyans saw that. Everybody saw that. It was in the media. It was really embarrassing.
Yeah, maybe he was busy.
Yes, may I say something to that?
Hold on. Senator, I'll come to you. But Mheshimiwa, maybe he was busy distributing wheelbarrows.
Jeff, I expected the deputy president to since he has been in this government from 2013, he should be telling us what is it that he has done for the youth in the last 8 years. In terms of policy, what this country needs is policy, Jeff, not wheelbarrows, Jeff. And the deputy president is not an MCA from Mlango Kubwa. Or the word I come from, Jeff. This country needs an empowerment to the youth, Jeff. And we want to see the youth being empowered. How has he empowered the youth in the last 8 years, Jeff? To me, it is just gimmicks and politics and, misleading Kenyans, really. How comes he is giving out wheelbarrows? And let me ask you, Jeff, what will one wheelbarrow do to 30 million youths?
Senator, what will one wheelbarrow do to 40 million youths?
First, let me go back a bit. I have heard Honorable Gedi talk about succession politics, and I'm unable to understand how she makes a link or is able to jump from an empty seat to succession politics. Maybe the seat speaks, I don't know. But at the same time, I'm also wondering, let the hypocrisy stop. We have seen enough of these COVID conferences being held by the president, perhaps over 10 since we've had this COVID pandemic. Actually not almost, but all of them, the deputy president has not been there. So what is this hula baloo that they now want to talk about, that he was absent and so they are sad or they were disrespected or that it's insubordination, yet in all those other conferences or meetings regarding COVID, he was not there. He was not part of those meetings. So what I think is maybe perhaps they are now realizing that they need him close by. I don't know, but what I'm saying is the president has not complained. Honorable Gedi cannot, unless she's telling us that she speaks for the president, she cannot pretend to tell us how the president feels about the deputy president's absence, so that you cannot term it as insubordination. Perhaps the president was aware and had given the green light for the deputy president to not be there. But anyway, we can guess until tomorrow morning. So let me move away from that, Jeff. So it's neither here nor there. It's not important. And I don't think it's of any value to keep discussing, because all we are doing is guessing.
Okay.
Now, as far as wheelbarrows, only the likes of Honorable Gedi and her crew can be sitting here and talking to us about not knowing how a wheelbarrow can change the life of a Kenyan. They are so privileged that they may not even understand what a person does with a wheelbarrow. What I would like to tell Honorable Gedi, perhaps she has not been in some crowded towns like mine in Nakuru town and met some youths with a wheelbarrow and fruits or bananas and oranges in there and walking around selling those oranges. And today I saw something on social media where somebody was saying that you can have a wheelbarrow, sell 100 bananas in a day, make 5 shillings per banana, and at the end of the day that person takes home 500 shillings. So when Honorable Gedi is talking about a deputy president not empowering the youth, then I want to know, is she also talking about the president who is part of the presidency, since the deputy president is part of the presidency, to have failed the youth in the last 8 years? Because she talked about nothing has been done for the youth in the last 8 years. Is she saying that President Uhuru Kenyatta has failed the youth of Kenya for the last 8 years, since he's the head of state?
Honorable
So
Gedi.
a wheelbarrow come and empower Jeff.
Yeah, Honorable Gedi, go
Jeff.
on. Go on, this opens up the whole
Jeff,
debate.
you see, Jeff, you see that the hypocrisy and the sideshows of the Tanga and MPs is what this country doesn't need now. The question I've asked is, in the last 8 years, because the DP is part of the presidency, if you want to hear that, and he sits in the cabinet, how has he changed the life of the youths and the less fortunate people? How? Because what they are doing is, like yesterday, you saw their tweet, Jeff. All of them tweeting. They are the ones who are complaining in the funerals and rallies and saying, you know, they've been sidelined, they've been done what, at least GDP doesn't get this attention. Or they're the ones, nobody complained. Yesterday themselves, herself now, she's now saying he was not invited to the COVID meetings. This is the first COVID conference, for heaven's sake. There was no any other COVID conference. This was the first one. Why didn't he come? Even if you have issues, even if you feel there's certain things that need to be corrected, the right thing is to come and say, talk, respect your boss. What we saw yesterday was a total defiance, Jeff. And it was a slap on the face. You see? And those are the things that many people have been talking about. You see, this country, we only have one president. And it's just evident. We don't need, we don't need to be told. Even the kids know that. So what I'm saying is, Jeff, the COVID committee that was formed, it was formed in the cabinet where the deputy president sits. In fact, you could have said, no, me, I have an issue with that. Where Matiang'i was told to co-chair with the health CS. He was in that cabinet meeting. So, and the meetings that was happening was just briefings. But the first COVID conference that happened was on Monday.
Okay, let's move
and
on.
And you saw what happened. So what else are you telling us?
I hear you. Let's move on. Senator Keka, let me ask you this. You're a diehard DP Ruto fan. Let's face it, you are diehard Tanga. And the whole hustler narrative. But at the same time, isn't the hustler narrative about glorifying poverty?
Oh, Jeff, I think that's actually not correct. The hustler narrative is actually not just a narrative, but it's a way of life. Like we were talking about that guy who moves around town, sells bananas, and at the end of the day makes 500 shillings. It's about that shoe shiner who wakes up in the morning and works on those shoes from morning to evening and is able to provide food at the table at the end of the day. It's about that mama mboga who wakes up early in the morning and does her hustle or sells those mbogas until she's able to provide school fees for her children, a roof over their head, and pay for their hospital visits if that's the case or if needed. So it's about a lifestyle and not just saying hustler for the sake of hustler. It's also saying that you can begin, like for example, you said I'm a diehard of the deputy president. I mean, that's the worst kept secret. Yeah, I am. But it's because when you look at what he has been able to achieve, when you hear about a man who was a chicken seller, who now sits at the second highest seat in the land, he is the deputy president of Kenya. That is what we are saying to the youth. We are saying to the people of this country that you can be born of nobody, so to speak. You can come from nowhere. And at the end of the day, when we become a tribeless country, where there is fairness, where we grow the job market, then you can move from that chicken seller into being even the president of this republic. So it's more, Jeff, about for example, let's talk about Kazi Mtaani. Let me just throw that in there. It is one of those policies that have been brought by Jubilee government, by the president, approved by the cabinet, which the president as well as the deputy president sit, where the youth are given a slasher and gumboots, and they are able to get a stipend, and they get out there and they hustle, if you want to call it that, or if you want to use a different name. But we get them to get some sort of employment, and they're able to provide food for their families. So when we talk about hustling or the hustler movement, it's that movement that gives hope to every Kenyan that you can be anything and you can start from nowhere and become somebody in this republic. That you do not have to be a child of the rich to become the president of this republic. That you can be a child of a mother in Dodori and become the CS for health. Yeah, so that is what the hustler movement represents.
Senator, let me ask you this, and it's all well and good, hustler movement, all that stuff, yada, 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 but you yourself grew up as a wealthy young scion, daughter of Keheka Kimani. What do you know about hustling? And I'm asking this not for me, I'm just asking you.
No, it's a good question. It's a very good question, and it's one that I've been asked many times. So hustling is not really just about me, but about the rest of Kenya. Jeff, do you know my father, Keheka Kimani, used to sell charcoal? Do you know he went to school without shoes? He would go and dig to provide for his siblings so that they would go to school because he believed in school that much.
No.
So it's not an abstract thing, Jeff. I may have grown up a bit more privileged because he was able to offer that for me. But I have seen him, his brothers, my aunties, and relatives, and friends, and neighbors, and everybody who have been able to move from that sphere to now you being able to tell me that I am the daughter of privilege, knowing that my father came from nothing. And that is what I want for every Kenyan in this republic.
That's a good point. Okay, thank you for that. Thank you for clarifying that. Mheshimiwa Gedi, you're smiling. You've been smiling throughout. You want to say something, or shall I throw a question at you?
Yeah, Jeff. You know, I was listening to Senator. This narrative of the hustler, it's a joke taken too far. It's actually nonsense, if you ask me. you know, what will be judged by the voters is our track record. It's not where you've been born or who you are or who is your father, you see. And Jeff, surnames should not be used, you know, against anyone. Nobody chose where to be born or where to live or who to be in this world. So this is just an hypocrisy, and to me, if you ask. And the other thing, Jeff, is let me ask you a question. They are calling the deputy president a hustler. Who owns half of this country with 7 choppers? What am I going to call myself, really? And people who fought for democracy, people who have been jailed for 9 years, the right honorable prime minister, what are we going to call that person? So let's sell the idea to Kenyans, and we will be judged by our track record. Kenyans will see what you can bring, not, you know, using the hustler word, because everybody is hustling.
Mheshimiwa, can I ask you a question?
If we continue with this narrative, Jeff, we are heading for a clash. The clash between the poor and the rich. And you're going to see this country, people who have hustled, people who have, you know, bought houses through their sweat, not stealing money, and going to see one of these fine days, people going to estates and stealing from people and saying, you know, you don't deserve to be in this class. So please, let's not use that narrative, because what we can see in the future is bloodshed. And if they continue like this, I don't know what they're causing, really. It's going to bring a total clash.
And you know what, Mheshimiwa, I'm glad you said...
We have people who have mortgages. We have people who struggle, really.
And I'm glad you said that.
We have people who are paying mortgage up to now who have struggled in this life.
Sure, Mheshimiwa, I'm glad you said that, because women, you women, are supposed to be the calm ones here, bringing sanity to a situation that looks like it's becoming fast insane. And you guys are right in the middle of it. You're all tanga-tangaing and kielewekaing. Come on. Who are you kidding?
Jeff, I agree with you. We, the women, we should be the one preaching peace. We should be the one bringing people together. You remember, Jeff, there is a embrace and Inua Mama. And the idea of embrace was to embrace each other. After the handshake, you remember, as a country where we've come from, Jeff, the bloodshed, women are the ones who've really suffered. Children are the ones who've really suffered. As the women leaders from this country, we said, look, if the Right Honorable Prime Minister and His Excellency the President can come together and, you know, shake hands for the interest of this country, who are we as women to divide and, you know, to join groups? That is how we came together. And what happened, Jeff? Selfish political interests of an individual rocked and divided the women. And that is how Inua Mama was formed, actually to counter the embrace. And if you look at all our clips, Jeff, us going to county, preaching peace, you know, popularizing the handshake, bringing people together, there is no single time. And I want to challenge you, Jeff, to produce a single clip that embrace women who are abusing each other or abusing a fellow woman or dividing people. That was our motive, and that was the idea of embrace. But the people who are now countered to come and abuse women and divide people and talk about 2022, there is no single, again, clip or even a meeting that endorsed a certain presidential candidate or even talked about 2022 politics. As what we did, we respected the president, but because the president told us, wait, I don't want early elections. What I want to unite the country. Please help me unite the country. As women leaders, we have the responsibility to unite Kenyans, and that is what we did, because we know as mothers we are the ones who suffer most.
Absolutely.
And that's what we did.
Absolutely.
So if there is any group that is singing or dancing or with a certain need, then you can ask the patron of that group who is in the stream.
Let me ask the patron of the group, Senator Kireka.
Jeff, no. Let me respond to that before you ask me the next question. Let me respond a bit to that.
Go on.
When Honorable Gedi talks about the hustler movement being nonsense, it's not surprising. She is the same person sitting there giggling and smiling when you talk about donating a wheelbarrow or a motorbike. She does not understand. Her and her crew do not understand empowerment or uplifting the lives of Kenyans. And I can tell you they're in a panic. Looking at her talking, I can tell they're in a panic. Because for once, we shall move the discussion in this country from being about tribe to being about empowerment, jobs, and those sorts of things. That Inua Mama movement that she's talking about was actually, and still is, because we did not fold. They may have folded, but we did not. Ours is for empowerment. We went around this country in many different counties and empowered women. The same thing about, you see, giving wheelbarrows. We were out there giving gas cookers, giving water tanks, giving wheelchairs to the disabled, giving money to groups. So we were out there doing it, and we are still going to continue. We've slowed a bit because of Corona. But it doesn't surprise me that they understand nothing about empowerment. She wants to come here and sing to us about BBI and handshake, which was really just about destroying previously good existing bridges into creating bridges to nowhere that bring no peace, but instead brought more division in the country. And talk to me about a person being jailed for 9 years who was also part of overthrowing a government. So let us be careful when we are trying to lecture others. We have not been living under a rock, we live in Kenya. So if we want a handshake that involves everybody, the president, the former prime minister, the deputy president, bring Musalia, bring Kalonzo, bring everybody. But if you want to talk to us about some and not others, then don't talk to me about that you are going around with this handshake preaching peace. We all are preaching peace. We want peace, and we want nothing but peace. But also, Jeff, don't also assume that as women, we can only do some things and not others. We preach peace as we go around. We are not the ones causing division in this country. But by our moving around to empower others does not mean that we are not doing what women should do.
Okay,
we bring peace as we go around the country, and we shall continue.
Hold on, Mheshimiwa. I'll come to you in a moment. Mheshimiwa. We're going to have to take a break now. But guys, I don't know if you guys watched my story on Rwanda the other day. I don't know if you watched it. If you didn't, please go to YouTube or Citizen Online, and you will watch what happened in Rwanda 26 years ago. And it looks like we're heading there, folks. Eyes wide open. You know, is this thing a must-have? Does someone have to have that role, that presidency? Is it a win it all? Think about it as we go into the break, because, women are the level-headed ones. That's why, I want to bring you guys to talk. You guys are level-headed. Talk to me about that, because I've seen what happened over there in Rwanda, and people here are joking. So let's take a break. Think about it. We'll come back. We've got Nakuru Senator Susan Keheka. We've got Wajir Woman Rep Fatuma Gedi in the house. Shoo, they're holding nothing back. We want to debate. We've got to keep talking. The minute we stop talking, it's the minute we start fighting. And you simply don't want to go down that slippery slope. Keep tweeting at Kunanga Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, the hashtag JK Live. JK Live takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.